There you are, standing before God with no loved ones, no lawyer, and no excuses. The all-knowing judge of the world not only heard the evidence of your crimes, he's an eyewitness to your law-breaking. You and I are guilty beyond the shadow of a doubt. The King of Kings is about to bring down the mallet of his justice and pass sentence. If you are guilty, you'll be sent to an eternity in God's prison, a very real place called hell. Your fate is about to be decided, and there are no appeals. As God prepares to render your eternal verdict, you feel a desperate need to plead your case. And that typically is when the person cries, objection. Let's tackle them and learn how to respond to the inevitable objections that unbelievers will offer. Here we go. Objection, Your Honor. I didn't know that you existed. Before I share with you the response and don't stub your toe, what would you say to that objection? Can you think of one Bible verse that would counter what seems to be reasonable? I just didn't know that God existed. He never wrote his name in the clouds. No miracles were performed for me. I didn't know he existed. What would you say? Can you think of one response? Can you think of two? Can you think of three? Could I encourage you to actually memorize 4 responses? Why? Why so much work? Well, my experience tells me when somebody says that to me and I respond with one biblical statement that counters that fallacious belief, they go, yeah, but what about, but I give them a second and a third and a fourth. It's like putting a nail into a board. You don't just tap it once. You got to hit it a second time and a third time and a fourth time to drive it in. May I encourage you to memorize these 4 responses to their objection? Here's the first from Ecclesiastes 3:11. Every human intuitively knows that there is an afterlife. God has put it into them when he knit them together in their mother's womb. Something inside that says, when I die, there's something beyond the veil. And that is why people fear death. And you can use that to reason with somebody. Make it an organic conversation, not just a lecture, not just a sermon that isn't a two-way street. Reason with them. My friend, don't you have a sense that there's something that happens to us after we die? Isn't that why we all kind of get the heebie-jeebies thinking about, oh, what's that going to be like? Because we know that there is something there. You know that there is an afterlife. Why? Because God put that into you, and that's why it's unreasonable for you to say, well, I didn't know. Objection number 2, response. This from the book of Romans. God has hardwired humans to innately know that he exists. This is different than the hard wiring of eternity in their hearts. He, in Romans 1, makes it clear over and over and over again. Every single person knows God exists. They don't know him in a right relationship, but they know God exists. Are you saying, skinny guy, that they know some sort of nebulous concept of God? No, I'm saying that Romans 1 says they know the true God. And all of their efforts to build an idol are not because they're groping, trying to figure out what this God they know is like. No, they're building that idol to suppress the truth that they do know that he exists. That should be hammer thump number 2. This is number 3. From Psalm 19, in creating the universe, God has made his presence inexcusably obvious. If there's a TV monitor, there is a TV monitor maker. Day after day, this TV is actually broadcasting, even when it's not on. It is shouting, somebody made me. I'm intricately designed. This couldn't have happened by accident. That's exactly the sermon that creation is preaching. Therefore, if you claim, I didn't know that God exists, it's simply because you have made yourself, forced yourself to be mute and not listen to the sermon that God has been preaching. Hammer thump, what is it? what's it called when you bang, hammer bang number, I don't want to get all home and gardeny on you. Number 4. This from Romans 2, God has given us a conscience to know we have sinned against our Maker. Every time we do something wrong, we know. Even the cartoons get that. They've got the bad angel telling you do the bad thing, and then they've got the good angel. What is that? It's crude, it's not precise, but it is an understanding that they all recognize we all have a conscience. Therefore, bang, 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 you are without excuse when you object that you did not know that God exists. Please memorize those 4 responses to that objection so that when you witness to somebody, while we still have time, and they offer up the old, I didn't know that God existed, you can help them understand, oh yes you did, your objection overruled. Well, there's no place like home for conflict. Got any? We've got a resource on biblical reconciliation that will help your relationship be better than it was before the conflict. It's outstanding, this resource, and many more at wretched.org.